Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie. I spent a long day in the kitchen today. I was doing a couple of videos on how to take care of your garden produce, so look forward to those. But I decided to come out and check on my garden and found a few things that were a little concerning. Now here in Utah, it's maybe it's the third week in August, and we are going to start having some really hot days. Today wasn't too bad, it was in the 90s, but it's going to be in the hundreds for the next few days. And it's been hot. Now I really haven't had a ton of time to go out and look at my yard, and you're going to see there's a lot to do. We haven't kept up with the mowing or the edging or anything like that, so forgive the mess. But I do want to show you some concerning things that I have seen that I do need to take care of. Now the first thing that we notice here in the backyard is we've got this long patch of dry spot. Now I've done other videos in the past on how to diagnose. This is definitely drought. So if I have my long-handled screwdriver right here. If I push it in, now we have a ton of rocks here so it doesn't go very far, but if I push it in, it goes that deep. That's a lot of moisture in there. Now if I go over to this dry patch right here, it stops pretty shallowly, and when I dig down, it's just bone dry. So I know what the problem is. For the irrigation in this area, we have a rotor, and look at all this vegetation. So we've got vegetation here, we've got vegetation up here, and if you look at the line of sight from this rotor, I think it's getting blocked right along there. There's another rotor right over here in this corner that might be getting blocked a little bit by the hanging beautiful pears. Now I may have gotten my first pear today. We did have a pear on the ground, which usually means it might be ripe in a couple of days. And I'm seeing a slight color change, so I'm getting really excited about that. But anyway, I'm getting a little distracted. So what I need to do is I need to go turn on the irrigation, and I don't have time tonight to do that, but probably tomorrow I'll do it. Turn on the irrigation, see which areas are being blocked, and cut back the vegetation, because that I'm pretty darn sure that's exactly what's causing this brown spot. Now what I can do in the meantime to green it up again is I can just drag a hose over and water it by hand for a little while. But this is my backyard and I don't care too much about it right now. So let's go look at my garden, because we're having issues up there too. Now up here we have my strawberry bed that, as I've mentioned in the past, is not producing that well, and we're starting to get die-off. Maybe you can hear the helicopter. It's so hot we're actually having fires in our area. Our house is not in danger, but there he is. Thank heavens for the firefighters. Anyway, so the heat has also been baking my strawberries. They are not getting enough water, obviously. Oh, this makes me upset. I just transplanted some little beets, and a cat came, or something came, and dug through everything that I just transplanted. That makes me upset. But anyway, what I was going to show you, other than the dead fried plants now, because they were dug over, is this soil is pretty moist. So that area has not been having a lot of problems. This area also, has the vermiculite and peat in it, so it hasn't had too many issues. But if you look at my cucumbers, they're showing a little tiny bit of a sign of drought stress. See how that leaf just does not stand out? The color's changing just a little bit. They might need some nitrogen also. But they are needing to be watered once or twice a day by hand, plus the drip irrigation. The drip irrigation is set to go off 3 times a week, but I may have to up that, which I don't know if I can because our city has restrictions. So I may have to come up here and just make sure I remember to water them every day. And then when I pull these out, I'm going to remember to amend this bed with peat moss and vermiculite so we don't have this issue as badly anymore. You can see my chard is definitely wilted. It's suffering drought stress. The little squash was suffering, it's cooled off a little bit, so it's not looking as bad. But wait till you see my tomatoes. They were fine this morning, and now they are just suffering. So I've got to get up here tonight and water. So now a fix for this garden, like I said, what I'm looking for is solutions, so I don't have to hand water. The solution for the garden is to put peat and vermiculite into the garden beds. That holds water a lot longer than the compost that I have in there, and will help me go a little bit longer between waterings. Even look at my grapevines. I've got to get some water on my grapes. They were fine this morning, and now they're starting to wilt, so I've really got to get out here and water. They were watered yesterday. Everything was watered yesterday. Now up here, other than being really long, my front yard grass is looking okay. And I think part of the reason it's doing so well is we've kept it so long. Not on purpose. My son just hasn't been mowing and I haven't been edging. We both are at fault. Here we have my poor, sad ground cherries. I can't remember, Schubert or something like that, ground cherries. Plus my aronia, or chokeberry. This chokeberry is just not getting enough water here. This ground cherry up here is just about to give up the ghost. Now what I'm assuming is that these are really old drip lines in here. I'm assuming there might be clogs in them. I've got to redo all the drip in this area. And as soon as I get the energy and time, really shortly here in the next few weeks, we're going to start the tear out process, because we're going to be redoing this area anyway. We'll probably tear out most of it, probably not the hardy hibiscus, although the hardy hibiscus may go too. We're going to tear it out to about where the Mexican feathergrass is. So maybe I'm going to have to get rid of the chokeberry or find another place for it. Because what we need to do is open up this pathway. My gate is a double gate, and we're going to be removing the grass in the side yard here in the back, all the way back to the blue spruce, out to the width of the deck, and we're going to turn that into a food forest. And to do that, we're going to need to be able to get a truck back there with soil and mulch, because I don't want to truck it in. I don't want to bring that all in from the street with a wheelbarrow. So anyway, we need to open up this area. Bye-bye, sweet precious Alberta spruce. It's gone. We'll transplant some of these lilies over to the other side of the yard. The lavender needs to go. Yes, I do have weeds. I've been trying to keep up with the weeding, but it's been a really busy year. And then these ground cherries are just annuals, so they'll probably just go by the wayside also. That way we can get a truck to the back, and then we'll redo the irrigation here. So what I'm going to do is add another zone, maybe 2 irrigation zones for the back. And then I can put the garden beds on their own zone. The garden beds are hooked to this flower bed, and I think that's part of the problem. Although it hasn't been a problem for the past 10 years, just this year, and that's why I think there's clogs. So anyway, we'll redo the irrigation to solve this problem. Give this front bed its own zone, and then give the backyard another zone. Now the other issue was really scary to me. This is my beautiful pawpaw tree, very difficult to grow in the state of Utah, with fruit that's almost ripe. And then this is my baby that's going to be the pollinator for it. And as you can see, it was not getting water, and I did not notice it. So I finally started watering it by hand, and we've got the bottom half to come back. So that was really scary. And I'll link another video that will show you why we're having water issues over here. We have a couple of rotors that are not turning. And so I've got them pointed so that it takes care of the grass. But this little area right here is not getting any irrigation. So now I'd like to challenge you to get out to your gardens, look at where the water issues are, and see if you can find a way to solve them. Sometimes it's not upping the water and letting it spray for longer periods of time. Sometimes it's like in the back right here, just cutting back the vegetation. Sometimes it's just that you have old irrigation that needs to be replaced. And sometimes you just may need to redo the entire irrigation system, which is difficult, or pull out the hose and hand water. So let's all use our water wisely, enjoy this summer even though it's getting hot, and have a wonderful garden adventure.